Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Chapter 9 on Linear Inequalities. Let's begin. So for today, we are going to be looking at 9.1, which is on representing inequalities. Okay, this is very similar to Chapter 8. A lot of the skills will transfer over, but there's a few small differences. Today, we're going to focus on representing inequalities verbally, algebraically, and graphically, and then determining if a given number is a possible solution of a linear inequality. The first thing we need to understand are what the difference is between an equality and an inequality. An equality would be like what we dealt with last. Equality is like what we dealt with last chapter, which would be like x equals 8. Like if you made $8 an hour, I might say x equals 8. An inequality is just eliminates the equal sign, and we're going to be using phrases such as less than, greater than, or less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to. Okay, so it's the math, the process for solving these questions is very similar to Chapter 8, but the phrasing is a little bit different. A boundary point is like this. So if it's like if we had x is less than or equal to 3, 3 is the boundary point, which means that all numbers that are less than or equal to 3 are possible answers. Okay? If our solution was x is less than or equal to 3, and then we were given 8 as a possible answer, well, then we know that 8 is not valid, right? Because it is not less than or equal to 3. 2 could be a possible answer. -7 could be a possible answer, but because these are both less than or equal to 3. Okay, let's take a look at that a little bit more in detail. These are we're going to have to sort of get used to today. Okay. A, if it's like this, A is greater than B. If it's facing to the right, A is less than B. Or A is greater than or equal to B if it's got the little line underneath. Or A is less than or equal to B, or finally A does not equal B. Now, how people remember these are very different. A lot of people, when they learn them in elementary school, they think that if they've got an X and a 5, and they're told to say, write down X is less than 5. Well, the way I remember it is the less than sign kind of looks like an L. And that's how I remember that L is less than. Other people, if say they had to say X is greater than or equal to 8, they think of it, oh, well, it's like a crocodile's mouth, and the crocodile will always eat the bigger number. So if it's X then is greater than or equal to 8, he's going to then eat the X. Okay? So however you remember, you've probably had some experience with them in the past. However you remember them is up to you. And you might get a little confused by these at the beginning, but they'll come along. Example 1 says, many jobs pay people a higher rate for working overtime. Rima earns overtime when she works more than 40 hours a week. Question A says, give 4 possible values that result in overtime pay. Well, if she gets paid for working more than 40 hours, she would get paid overtime for working 41 hours, 42 hours, 43 hours, etc. Right? Those are all possible values that would result in overtime pay. Let's look at question C. We'll skip B. Question C says, express the inequality graphically. Okay? As a graph, here's what it would look like. So we give ourselves a little number line. We're dealing with 40 hours, right? And if she works more than 40 hours, she gets overtime pay. So I would put a circle around 40, and I would color in to the right because she has to work greater than 40 hours in order to earn overtime pay. Now sometimes the question comes up, well, should I color that circle in or should I leave the circle open? Here's when you decide it. So if we have two options, one where it's open and one where it's colored in, okay? The open circle means greater than or less than, but not equal to. Whereas the colored in circle, the closed boundary point, means less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to. So you have to really read the question here. It says that she gets overtime for working more than 40 hours. So does she get overtime for working exactly 40 hours? No, she doesn't. She has to work greater than 40 hours. That's why our circle is open, because she has to work more than 40 hours, but not equal to 40 hours. Okay? The part D says part D says to express the inequality algebraically. Okay, well, let's look at that down here. So we're going to start with our variable. We've got x, and we know it's for 40 hours. We can see here from our graph that it's greater than, right? She has to work more than 40 hours. So we're going to make the x has to be greater than 40. It'll go like that. We've already discussed that it's not equal to, because she has to work more than 40 hours, not equal to. So the answer would be x is greater than 40. Next question. It says, in many provinces you must be at least 16 years of age to get a driver's license. Sketch a number line to represent the situation, and B, represent the situation algebraically. Please pause and give that a try. The answer is, for A, if I'm making a number line does not have to be complicated. It's a quick line. We know we're dealing with the number 16. It says you have to be at least 16 years old. So we put our circle around 16. You have to be 16 or greater, right? I'll use a different color. You have to be 16 or older to get your driver's license. So this is going to be going to the right. It says you have to be at least 16 years of age. So you can be 16 and get your driver's license. So we will color in our circle. So you have to be 16 or older. Now for part B, to represent this algebraically, I would say that x has to be greater than or equal to 16. If the circle's colored in, the inequality sign has to have the equal to sign as well, right? Because you have to be 16 or older to get your driver's license. Next question. Here it wants us to take these two number lines and express them algebraically. Okay, so the first one, here's what I'm looking for. The first thing I want to do is decide what this number is. That's negative 20, that's negative 15, so negative 15, negative 16, negative 17. So I've got a negative 17, my variable is x, and now I'm deciding, is it less than or greater than? Well, if the line is colored in to the right, that means it's greater than. And then I decide if I'm going to include the equal sign or not. This circle is colored in, so that means it includes it, so it has to be x is greater than or equal to negative 17. For B, this looks like 2, 2.1, 2.2, 2.3. So 2.3 and x. The line is going to the left, so we're going to make this a less than sign, and the circle is open, so we're not going to include the equal to sign. So this is x is less than 2.3. Next question. Here it wants you to express these two inequalities graphically, okay? C and D. if I'm making a number line, again, it doesn't have to be complicated. Negative 4 over 7 is right here. This says x is greater than or equal to, so I'm going to color in my circle because it's greater than or equal to. And because it's greater than is to the right, I'm going to color in to the right, and I'm done, okay? The number lines don't have to be any more complicated than that. Next one says, now this one's a little bit different, okay? So we got our 35 down. Here for the first time, they've put the variable second, right? So we kind of have to read this one backwards. This says 35 is less than n. So if 35 is less than n, then n has to be greater than 35. 35 is less than n, so n is greater than 35. We're not going to color it in because it's not equal to. It's greater than, so we're going to the right, okay? So take care not to go too quickly. If the variable is second, we have to make sure to read it both ways, okay? All right, please pause and try these. Try A, B, and C. Actually, we'll just do these together. It says express the inequality shown on the number line algebraically. So it's between 140 and 130. So it's got to be going up by 2's. Negative 132, negative 134, negative 136. Get my variable in there. My line is going to the right, and the circle is not colored in. The line is going to the right, so that means greater than. X is greater than negative 136. Okay, for part B, I'll do B down here. It says represent n is less than negative 12 on a number line. So I put down negative 12. It is less than. Less than means I'm going to the left, like so. It's not equal to, so I'm not going to color in the circle. Next, it's got write an inequality for the values shown on the number line. And so this is 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's going up by 0.25. So that would put down my 0.25. My x, it's going to the left, less than, and the circle is colored in, so it'll be less than or equal to. Example 3. It says many real-life situations can be described by a combination of two inequalities. Represent the situation. Okay, so in this one, there is two numbers. So it says the average daily water use for a person is between 327 and 343 liters per person. So when you have to do, let's start with the number line. Here we have two numbers, right? So we know the 327 is a smaller number, it'll be on the left. 343 is a large number, it'll be on the right. A person uses between this much water every day. So we're going to color in those circles. And because they use between that amount of water, we're going to color in between there. Okay? Now, how do you make that on algebraically? Well, here's what you're going to do. You're going to start with your variable. When you have two numbers, the variable will go in the middle. Okay? The larger number is on the right, and the smaller number is on the left. And then we're just going to say x is less than or equal to 343, which is shown there, and x is greater than or equal to 327, shown there. And you can see these two signs are going the same direction, which if you put the smaller number on the left and the larger number on the right, that will always be the case, okay? I think there's one more. It says the most extreme change in temperature in Canada took place in Alberta. The temperature changed from -19 degrees to 22 degrees in 1 hour. Okay, represent this with a number line and graphically, or sorry, algebraically. So please take a second, pause, make this a number line for this right here, and then write an algebraic expression as well. The answer is, again, I'm going to put the smaller number on the left and the larger number on the right. The temperature raised from -19 all the way up to 22. I'm going to color in the middle. For the number line, same thing. Just drop the numbers down, or for the algebraic expression, pardon me, it's x is less than or equal to 22 and x is greater than or equal to -19. And you can see again the signs are going in the same direction. All right, that brings us to the end of today's lesson. Your assignment is page 347, numbers 5 to 18. Please work on this today, and tomorrow we will start 9.2. Thank you. Have a good day.